Hello everybody, San here, engineer, MBA, and investor. And in today's video, I want to talk about some stock price. I want to talk about Prime Medicine up 35% today alone, and up 300%, over 300% from its lows earlier this year. So this is kind of crazy, guys. Prime Medicine here, a bunch of articles being talked about. I mean, if I just go ahead and check for Prime stock here, this is crazy, guys. 25% up. We're looking at, look at this, guys. Since early June, mid-June, that's up 170%. And if you actually bought it to its lows here, that's up 240%. I mean, this is crazy, guys. This is pretty big, okay? It's over 240% when you look at those specific prices. It's gonna reach about 300% there. But man, what a news, guys. I mean, you look at this article on investing.com, which obviously is a very popular website for many investors. And it's not like they just released something big and that really shocked the world or some sort of data. It's really all trading under the premise that investors, specific large investors, are dabbling into the stock. They're dabbling into the space. And if we take a look at, some of these things that were mentioned, and obviously they're talking about that gene editing acquisition from AbbVie, $2.1 billion for Capstan Therapeutics, just late June. And I quote here, Verve's phase 1B data was sufficient to trigger M&A. We believe Prime could get to the same place as they start announcing their clinical data in 2027, end of quote. So Prime has never released any sort of clinical data on human, not yet, not in 2025. There's no plan to do it even in 2026 potentially. So we're looking at a 2027 play before you even get some solid data on human. And the fact that these investors are now looking at this company really comes because of those two big acquisitions that happened the past month. Verve obviously was the big trigger, and then of course AbbVie buying that private company in the in vivo CAR T space that barely had any sort of clinical data. They had just started phase 1, their clinical data, and basically didn't really have much to work with, and even they got sold for $2.1 billion to a big pharma company like AbbVie. And I've said it a lot in this channel, right? The valuation of all CRISPR companies overnight increased when Verve sold just under a month ago, and of course when AbbVie bought it 2 weeks ago of this private gene editing company. Now again, that company, the latter company that was sold, the private one, was not about CRISPR, but it doesn't matter. It's big tech, it's big pharma buying a biotech genomics gene editing company. And obviously CRISPR lands in that vertical, and Prime Medicine is a great example of that, what's happening right now. I mean, a lot of people need to remember, the guys, that it just takes a couple of big investors to shoot these stocks up. I mean, now obviously Prime is worth about 500 million market cap, but if you go back to April when it was shared, when it's trading just around $1 and a couple of cents, this company was worth about $100-ish million market cap. So when you think about it, a big investor, a retail investor, can come in and pay $50 million for these shares, and you're already jumping over 50% of its valuation, right? And it's not that much, okay? I know obviously for us retail investors, a couple of millions is a lot, but for these big investment funds, I mean, a couple of millions is not that much. Actually, a lot of them make billions of dollars purchases throughout weeks and months for different verticals, different sectors. So I think a lot of folks were kind of interested in this space, and I think that shows, right? And it's just crazy that, you know, when you look at CRISPR therapeutic stock, and I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but bear with me. I mean, every of these companies shot up, right, since the lows of April, May. But even then, you know, you look at, you know, from its lows, CRISPR Therapeutics rose about 64%, which is pretty big, right? In just short of 3 months, not even 3 months, up 64%. These are big numbers, okay? This is nothing to sneeze at. But I would argue with the sale of Verve, with the sale of this private company to AbbVie that we just covered here earlier in the video, I would argue CRISPR Therapeutics should be worth about $100 price tag right now, $150 stock price. It should be well over $5 billion market cap. It should be about 10, 15, 20 billion market cap. You know, you look at NTLA. I mean, NTLA had another huge great run up, but again, NTLA only 60, 70. These are big numbers. Don't get me wrong, guys. I want to preface it. These are big numbers. But when you kind of scale back and you look at what's happened to these companies since 2021, you're like, okay, well, hold on. There's a lot more than meets the eye here. Are these companies really worth 1 billion market cap like NTLA when we know they have about $800 million cash or just short of it, and they have no debt, and they're on phase 3 clinical trial, as opposed to 2021 when they had just released the first human data set in June, and that their stock price was well above the current price, right? And you look at what's happened since then, more data, more successful data, a CRISPR program that has been approved by the FDA over 2 years ago now. 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, sorry. So you think about all those factors and you're like, there's no reason for these companies to be worth that. And I think that's the point of this video today. You know, you look at what's happening with Prime, and, you know, again, congratulations to all investors in Prime. This is a big thing for Prime Medicine, for their company, for investors, and most importantly for the space. Prime editors, I've always said this in this channel, Prime editors are here. Prime editors are basically the phase 3 of CRISPR technology. So phase 1, you had this CRISPR-Cas9, CRISPR-Cas12, ex vivo, even a little bit of in vivo in there. Phase 2 was more about really in vivo, really more about, you know, base editors, and you're looking at what Mammoth Biosciences are doing. And I would argue Mammoth Biosciences is more phase 3, which is what phase 3 is all about here with Prime Medicine, Prime editors. So there's a lot of stuff happening, right? And sorry, when I mean phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, I'm not on a clinical trial. I'm talking about like the stages of CRISPR technology. But just because you're on stage 1 doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. Okay, that doesn't mean that. It just means where we're heading with this technology. So keep that in mind. So this is pretty big, guys. Again, I wanted to end this video like this, and it is a Monday here. I have some time on my hands here. Took 2 weeks off from my day job, so kind of trying to make these videos here for our viewers and trying to educate our folks here. I think it's always fun to interact with all of you guys on YouTube. I mean, you guys keep commenting on our videos, and it's actually pretty fun to do these things. I do it out of my passion, right? This is passion. I don't do it for dollars, cents. I don't do it for fame, whatever. This is really meant because I'm passionate about this space. I'm passionate about, you know, doing these things, helping out folks, and, you know, learning myself, right? There's always things to learn, and obviously today it kind of speaks volume of where we're at with CRISPR, right? An undervalued space that has a lot of room for growth, and stuff like happening today with Prime stock shows exactly what I'm trying to convey here, right? So guys, let's end this video like this. Subscribe if you haven't, guys. Like this video. Do like it. It puts our peoples on home pages. You guys have no idea how it helps. And comment below, guys. Engagement does help with the community here, guys. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a beautiful Monday. Thank you.